You're obsessed with Andy.
I was just horny. I was looking at you during dinner.
Don't touch me.
Okay. It's nothing.
You think I'm a fool, don't you?
I think you're overreacting. Okay?
Is everything okay?
Hi guys, it's your favorite mystic, TheSirenSayz. Welcome back to my channel where I speak about movie, TV, and soon to come books and everything that I like, dislike, and the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything all throughout and in between those frames of media. Here we get into the next episode. Disclaimers. I don't know what Tyler Perry is doing, but I guess we're just here to watch the trash. It's just trash. You watch it because it's trash. Watch it for fun. Even though sometimes I don't be having fun because it's just so bad. But there are certain things that kept me entertained to a certain degree, so we're here. Second of all, these people are not real. We'll take it too personal. I might sound like I'm taking it personal, but when I stop recording, I let it go. I don't sit there going on and on and on for hours. That's why I have this channel, so I can go on and on and on for half an hour, okay? Not hours, just half of one, and then I leave. I definitely have a lot of thoughts on this. Don't know if I'm going to get all of them out in this video or prior videos. We will see. Third disclaimer, I don't really like anybody. I'm gonna be really honest with you. There were moments where I thought, hey, I might like this person, but they just ended up disappointing me in another aspect. So there's going to be a section where I say I like somebody. Don't take it too serious. I just liked the idea of what they could have done, but they're obviously not gonna do that. Yeah, that's about it. Let's just get into it really quickly. So
We're just gonna go.
Hey, feel better, sis.
Thank you.
this episode starts off where we left off, and I'm flummoxed. This episode gave a few more remnants of how older Tyler Perry shows used to be. They were very goofy. Goofy in terms of even if they weren't a comedy, like let's say like the haves and the have-nots. They were goofy in terms of wow, like all this drama. That is what this felt like. Not even an old one that came up alongside it. This episode felt like an episode of The Oval. You know, like in anime where they have filler episodes. This episode, I know you're saying this is not filler, but I'm saying like it's like a filler episode of The Oval. And you know, in The Oval, something catastrophic is happening every 2 minutes. I felt like this episode was semi-similar. And what do I mean by that? All of these girls need therapy. All of them. All of these girls need therapy, and this episode just punctuated that. So Penelope stayed with Gary, and I don't understand why. She catches him, you know, she's disgusted, she realizes she made a mistake, but she's still gonna stay with him. She doesn't tell Andy what happened. She doesn't tell Andy that she doesn't really want this man. She doesn't tell Andy anything. She decides to just be upset and argue with him in the elevator. And while they're arguing in the elevator, oh my god, Gary is being so belligerent and delinquent and just gross. I had a thought in my head that I had to dispel immediately because I ain't missing no version of Gary. But this version of Gary is so bad that I almost wish, like, if he was gonna be here, I wish it was the old Gary, you know? And I feel like this version of Gary is kind of getting like the Azula treatment, and not in terms of the good writing aspect of the Azula treatment, but in terms of this character that seemed to be able to get out of almost anything all of a sudden is becoming crazy and everything is crashing down around them. And that's what I wanted. I wanted everything to crash down around them. But the acting, the way that I'm sure this actor was told to portray Gary this season, it's just so bizarre, right? He's openly being rude to Penelope, right? Whether it's in front of people in a minor way, which is still rude, and behind closed doors, you know, telling her all sorts of nonsense, you know, complaining about the sex as if he's not cheating still. Like, he's just an idiot. He's just an idiot. I'm just grossed out. I just can't do this anymore. I'm gonna need the next 3 episodes max, not minimum, max, to be y'all getting Gary out of here. I don't want to see him over here no more. I don't. Like, I don't want to see him. I don't. Okay. We're gonna get into Gary a little bit later. It is what it is. Then we move on. Sabrina and Danny. I don't care.
I've been hearing you out for the past hours, Sabrina.
I don't. Like I said before, I think it's really shady. And this is not the new writer's fault. I just think that this is shady storyline because everything is supposed to connect and continue. I hate how this connects, right? Now, I'm going to be skipping around a little bit. I'm trying to keep it cohesive, but I have a lot of thoughts that connect to other things. And I hate Danny and Preston, so I'm going to try my hardest to just get everything with them into one section instead of talking about each scene where they occur. All right. Sabrina is trying to get Danny to understand some things. One thing I did not like about this scene, Sabrina tried to implicate Preston. Now, I'm not mad at the idea that her subconscious, feels a way about Preston. That's not what angers me. What angers me is that they're saying Preston broke her and it's Preston's fault. It's the white man's fault for breaking Danny. Stop it. Shut up. Shut up, Sabrina. Shut up. Just a few seasons ago, you were talking about how Preston is really good for her and she should just forgive him and apologize and give him a chance and stop being flighty and and Danny had the gall, the audacity of the cities, bro. She had the audacity to sit there and talk about, I thought she was talking about the relationship in general, putting blame on both, but then I realized she was talking about Preston when she said, oh, I'm not flighty anymore. I don't have to wonder if somebody loves me, or if they do love me, why they just gonna leave. It's like, first of all, you always do. This nigga wanted you. This nigga said he always loved you. He was never sure if you loved him back the exact same way. Stop playing games with me. One thing I'm not gonna let you do is slander Preston's name. You got the little chocolate M&M piece that you wanted, and stick with it then. Huh? Stick with it. You see how Karen, and I can't believe I'm about to compare y'all two for even just a second. You see how Karen is able to give Aaron respect even though too much has happened with him and she doesn't want to be with him anymore, but she's not going to down talk him like that. She's not going to say he was crazy. She's not going to say I didn't know about him. She's going to say he was great, but I just can't be with him. And it's done. Why can't you give the same amount of respect to Preston? Why? If I got the relationship that I always wanted, and a relationship that could have been good for me but ended badly because of me ended, I would never wish bad on the person. I would never talk bad on them. Never. Especially if I got what I wanted. Bitterness comes from you not living your truth. That's where bitterness comes from. Bitterness comes from pride. And pride's root is shame. Danny, you are a shameful human being at this point. Oh, and once again, just as a side, the makeup artist started doing her makeup terribly. She looked super oily. Fix that, please. Fix it. I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate them slick coming for Preston like he had anything at all to do with any of this. Don't play with Preston like that. Don't do it. It is my personal headcanon that he's not even the one who sent you the text message. It was probably Mindy. Because that's just not like Preston. And even if he did send it to you, who cares? You left him so that you could be with Tony. So whatever he does and does not do should not matter to you. I'm so confused. Like, if I got what I always wanted, I wouldn't be upset at the past. I would see the past as something that I had to go through to be better for my new situation. You guys heard me say that I theorize that she's going to be better for this guy. And apparently she has been. Her eyes hasn't wandered. The only thing that's been wrong is that she has trauma and is unhealed. I'm going to need y'all to realize that your trauma dying does not have to do with Preston. It has to do with you. It has to do with your childhood. It has to do with whatever happened to you in college. That's what it has to do with. It ain't got nothing to do with Preston, and I'm about sick and tired of y'all bringing him up. If he's gone and I ain't never gonna see the two of you interact again, fine, let him be gone. You know, like how Sabrina could go over to Maurice's house and not say anything about Calvin? Like that, I'm gonna need you to treat Preston like that. I know Preston is still low-key being brought up because people are gonna see him in Fatima, but in my personal opinion, he should just be gone because the disrespect is not. I'm not with it. So I'm guessing people only get a certain level of respect if they're not going to be in the show anymore as a whole. So I guess Calvin and Aaron get respectfully left out of the conversation if they're never going to be seen in any spin-offs. Fine. Don't put Preston in any spin-offs. I want him to be respected. Out of all the niggas I just called, Preston deserves the most respect, and I said what I said. Because you're not getting that love back. Whatever. She's gonna do therapy for him. They have this stupid scene at the airport where he just pulls up while she's talking to somebody and does a romance novel level foreplay by going under the table to taste the cherry.
Good.
I was like, oh, ew. Mind you, this is an out-of-body experience for me because I read a lot of romance novels. This is why I said I'm soon to come books, because I do plan to talk about it at some point. But this is just classic, like, romance novel, you know, the boss or the boyfriend shows up at your job and, you know, he decides to give you a little bit of foreplay on the job. And it's usually like, ooh, or dang, or ooh, then we'll get caught. Like you as the reader, like you feel a little something. It's fun. But these two are so nauseating together that I was grossed out. And I was just like being super serious. I was just like, she's in the middle of something. This old lady is just sitting there watching her. Can you have common sense? And the whole time he was talking, right? Like he upset her, right? Him insinuating that she needs help upset her. And I think one of the reasons that I don't like Tony as well is that he reminds me of niggas that I know. Ninjas that I know. And so what he was just telling her, you know, like, you got a bad attitude. I'll knock it out of you with this peen. It's like, ugh. Just gross. Oh, I plan to make a short video about Tony versus Rich and why I think Rich's approach to the seductive thing was way more effective. Because you know I don't really like Sabrina, but you saw in the last video that I did like the scene with her and Rich. And that's what's important about their partners. Their partners need to be somebody that even if I don't like the girl, the guy is so good with her and the chemistry is so magnetic that I end up forgetting that I don't like the girl for at least 5 seconds while they're both interacting and being romantic on screen. That is what Robin did for Andy. Robin made Andy bearable through the years that she was being very unbearable. Through the years, that's what was happening. Whenever Karen would shut up about Zach for 5 seconds and pay Aaron full attention, golden. Right? And for the few split seconds that Danny ever decided to give Preston a chance, even though I still liked her, it raised her up on even higher of a pedestal at the time. I never really got that with Sabrina because I never liked her with Calvin, but that's what those men did for the other girls. And yes, they should be able to stand on their own, but the way that this show is set up, the girls are not able to stand up on their own. And you guys have heard me say how I have an issue with that. How I have an issue with the way that none of them can change. I don't need any of them to be perfect and to never have any issues. But how that none of them have ever changed and are never going to change. That is what bothers me so much. And I'm so sick and tired that I'm sorry that I'm talking about this like it's a singular video instead of a reaction or review. But yeah, whatever. We can skip over the Hayden and Gary scene because it doesn't matter. But what I will say is that Hayden is really solidifying his place as one of my favorite characters. I will make a video explaining why he's my favorite character because I know that's such an out-of-pocket statement. Like, Hayden you talking about how all the girls are annoying and you like Hayden. There's reasons why, multiple reasons. I made a friend recently at work and I told her that Hayden was my favorite character and she was like, huh? But once I explained it to her, I gave her just 3 reasons and she was like, oh, that makes sense. It didn't make Hayden her favorite character, but I explained it with just 3. I just put 3 bullet points. She was like, oh, okay, I see what you're talking about. I could see why you would like him from that perspective. So I'll make a Hayden video, don't worry about it. I don't care about what's going on with Gary in this particular scene because it doesn't matter, but it just shows how disrespectful he is. And he's a criminal. I almost forgot to say it. He's a criminal. And I'm glad that the FBI is on his A. I'm glad. I'm also glad that it seems that Hayden is sort of disillusioned with Gary at the moment. I like that Hayden said, if the person don't got nothing to do with my money or somebody that I slept with, I don't care. And I know that's a little hypocritical. But I like that Hayden has his little morals, not his morals. He has his boundaries and he sticks with them. He's not just going to go around destroying everybody's life. He's not a general villain. He's not going to destroy everybody's life just because he feels like it. He's not completely crazy like Gary. He's just a delusional idiot who likes to abuse his power as a lawyer. Gary, however, is a supervillain and he needs to get taken down immediately. I'm sorry. I also did enjoy the scene where Hayden was talking to Andy.
Rent free in both of your minds.
Please, don't flatter yourself. That's all Gary, that ain't me. Speaking of which,
I gotta be honest with you. I gotta be honest with y'all. This is a pick-me-up scene personally. It revived me as I was dying. I had a toxic thought. Now, what is a toxic thought for me? It's something that does not need to be true. It doesn't. But the show is so bad that right now a random pairing of 2 people together that normally would be horrendous and wouldn't make sense would actually make the show more interesting because of how bad it is. We go need something like the show is so random that we need something random to make it better. For a second, when I'll don't want to share. Okay, I'll probably see if I can put the clip in. But when Hayden was talking to Andy, and he was just looking her up and down and talking to her, and she was looking him up and down, for a second I thought, you know what, y'all would be kind of cute together. I'm sorry. It was a toxic thought. It was a passing thought. I'm not stuck on the idea. I don't ship them together. You know, everybody has a toxic thought every now and then. I had a toxic thought thinking that Hayden and Andy would be cute together. Boo, tomato, tomato, tomato. I know. I guess we can talk about Fatima and Zach. Once again, it's all about the baby, so I really don't care. But we can get into the baby stuff specifically about Karen. I know that Fatima told Danny specifically. I do appreciate that. I do appreciate that Fatima is the one who convinced Danny technically to try therapy out. I always said their friendship would be a very good idea, and I'm being proven right. But it seems that Fatima is starting to get jealous of Karen, and I'm confused. We heard her make mention that she's been in therapy, and that's why she's less reactive. Okay. I feel like that's not true, though. I feel like you were a little less reactive before you got involved with Zach. And then as things got more serious with Zach and you decided to stick it out more, you became more reactive. You know? Getting Hayden beat up. Trashing Hayden's place. Setting Hayden up with a girl. You know, like all those things happened in different periods of her relationship with Zach. She would calm down for 5 seconds and then rail up again with a brand new idea that had monstrous consequences. This is what I'm talking about when I say that for some reason Zach is all about character development and Fatima has regressed. That is what I'm talking about. So for her to say because of what's going on with her and this lady, she's so much better now, and Andy's echoing those thoughts, it kind of gave me deja vu to the last season where Andy was sort of echoing that Karen is not usually this crazy. When all of us watching at home was like, what are you talking about? Of course she is normally this crazy. The levels are just up and down. Like, what are you even talking about? Like, okay. But yeah, so she started to get jealous. She wanted to have Zach Jr. She wants 2 kids. Good for you, I guess. Zach feels like it's the girls that convinced her to have an issue with him not taking more precaution with Karen. When it's like, sir, nothing was ever really proven. Karen has just been steadfast in thinking that it's you. And of course she had good reason to think that because she was upset. But I feel like now is the time to get the paternity test. Before, she was dick dizzy. Okay? And she didn't want it to be Aaron's. But now Aaron is out of the picture. So I feel like it'll be easier for you to like second guess her now. Because she doesn't like you like that at the moment right now. That might change though. Because Karen was going to come to the brunch. Without telling nobody. And got jealous that she saw Fatima there with the girls. So who knows? She might Jekyll and Hyde right back. Who knows? But yeah. Fatima and Zach are going through it. I think it's really dumb that Zach is sort of just like not understanding what's going on. Also, just to go back to the Hayden and Andy in the coffee room scene, Fatima pissed me off when she walked in on them, because then Hayden had to like stop spilling the tea on Gary, because Hayden doesn't hate Andy. He doesn't, which is why it's almost a little bit easier for him to open up to her once they've established a rapport. But once Fatima comes in, he's just on guard. He's hostile immediately for very obvious reasons that he caused, but that Fatima is keeping alive and facilitating. So yeah, that just kind of annoyed me. I'm like, girl, you got in the middle of the tea, was trying to hear the tea, because he was telling us things that we didn't get to see. He was giving us some exposition, so now we're not gonna see it. I guess for fun, we'll talk about Karen and Pam. Sorry. Yeah, Karen and Pam. Some nigga walked in with the packages, and he was actually cute. Thank you. Okay, because that contractor nigga, y'all were pretending he was fine. Stop. Ew. At least when this guy walked in and Pam was like, let me try and turn on the charm. That made way more sense. However, the guy does look a little bit too young for Pam. I don't know why. Pam looks a little bit older this season. Oof. Anyways. The FedEx boy or whatever, the UPS boy, seemed to be a little bit interested in Karen. It was just kind of like, I don't know. Okay. I doubt he is going to be anything. I mean, Trey is such a very regular name. Let's talk about the brunch just for 5 seconds. But before I do that, we'll talk about Sabrina for 5 seconds. Girl, you deserve it. She was talking on the phone, loitering, and some lady who just so happens to be a palm-colored complexion walked in on her and said, I hope you're not a personal call, Sabrina. You know, you can't do that anymore. And the thought that ran through my head is, I hope they don't make this a race thing. Because she deserves this. It was your loitering and your lack of hardness that opened the door for the bank robbery. I hope you understand that. Yes, it's mostly Maurice's fault. Most definitely. But you hold a nice chunky 10 to 20% depending on who you talk to. And I think that you having some overseer is good. However, I do wish that the overseer was black. Not because I care for the overseer to be black. I don't care about that. But it's because I don't want the show to use that as an excuse. That's what I don't want. I don't care to have the show use the fact that her overseer or whatever this lady is to her being palm colored complected. I don't want them to use that as like a plot point, because I don't care. I'm telling you right now, I don't care. Like, take just some of the race relations out of this, because I don't care. This show is way too badly written for me to care about fight the power. Okay? just sort out these girls' issue before we over here fighting the issues of our ancestors, because they obviously have some generational trauma that none of them can get through. None of them. Like I said before, Danny is not the only one who needs therapy. She's not. And this episode really compounded how all of them need therapy. So let's get into the girls, girl by girl, because by now that's the rest of the show, honestly.